Hey everybody, welcome back to the shop. So this video is going to be a little bit different. It's going to be kind of maybe what I'm going toward in order to get content out. Instead of spending so much time with editing and putting together, parsing and all that other crap, I'll just kind of do more of an organic on-the-fly video. Will help me get some more content out less painfully, because right now I spend like a day on editing and I just can't do that and projects at the same time. So not enough time. The project today, we're back on the Model A. I had decided that I wanted to replace the rear end that I had already set up for the Model A. I had a S10 rear end and it was going to do, I think, a fine job for what I was going to ask of it, but it was narrow to a point to where design-wise my tires and rims were going to be inside these wheel wells in the back. And even though we had extended the wheel wells to handle that, I started to have a problem with the size of tire it was going to limit me to. There was a certain kind of look that I thought I was driving toward, and I believe I'm driving toward with the car, and that look is going to have big and littles on the car. So I knew I had to change the axle, and that was going to require me to change up and reapply some coilover brackets and whatnot. I got another axle. The axle's wider. It's going to allow the rim and tire to be outside of the car where I want it. I believe it's going to have the right margins, but there's a small issue with regards to centering the axle with the drive line that I'm experiencing now. So the axle that I found locally on Facebook Marketplace had originally come from a 95 Camaro. I believe the gear ratio that's in this one right here is 273. Whether those gears are going to be changed down the road for me, I don't know yet. I ended up sandblasting the axle, and I ended up cutting away all the crap that was originally a part of it. There was a torsion bar and some different brackets and whatnot. So I cleaned the axle up the best I could, and then I sandblasted it, and I shot some primer on it the other day because you just get tired of cleaning rust off, and I didn't want to go through all that again. So I prepped it and cleaned it, and so I've got it sitting underneath the car right now, and I've pulled measurements, and I've got it where it needs to be. It's where it should go. Of course, I'll have to measure it 100 more times. This is one of those things where you just keep on checking yourself and checking the car. But anyway, here's the dilemma. The dilemma is that establishing what is the center line of the axle. So right now, this axle is set up to where it has got as much space between the hub and the body of the car, both sides, right and left, they're same. So you would hope that, your build to this point is going to naturally let the middle fall, the middle of the differential. It would fall straight in the middle, and it would line up exactly to the line that you've established with your transmission, and it would be a straight line that you've created through your fabrication. And we've done a pretty good job with that, I would say. But the axle here is offset a little bit, and I didn't realize it was offset when I purchased it. It's got a 1/2 inch offset from what the true center line of the differential is, which is this pencil line of mine. It's got a casting dimple right here. I thought that might have been the center line at one time, but as I made some measurements back and forth, I've established that pencil line as my true center point of this axle. But then when you shoot down, it doesn't end up lining with this tick mark, as you can see. There's a 1/2 inch difference with those things lining up. Go around here. So when you're walking that laser line down the center line, you see I've got the spline, I've got the light splitting the spline right in half, and then that line walks up along that seam, the casting seam of the transmission, drifts off a little bit toward the front, but it, you know, anyway, it's not exact. It's pretty close. I'd say, yeah, I'm on the right side of the casting line. If that casting line is truly center, and I can't say that it's center, it might be off to the side. But anyway, I believe I've done a good job establishing a center line here with the laser. But my dilemma that I have is whether or not I should be okay with connecting my drivetrain a ½ inch off center, because that's what's going to essentially happen here if I leave everything the way it is. So I can do that. I can hook it up off center, and I would know that my spacing, you know, visually, when you look at the rim and tire combination and you come over here to the car, checking out the car, you know, la la la, looking at the car. Hey, yeah, that looks like the same amount of space on the other side. Like anybody's going to say that, you know. But it would be the same from the rear perspective, you know. Everything would be right even. But at the same, but hiding the fact that you've offsetted the drive line a ½ inch to one side to achieve that. Or you get everything lined up, you keep your drive line centered, and you kick your rim and tire out by using a spacer on one side. So I could kick everything over toward the driver's side, I could get things lined up there for the U-joint connection, and I could put a ½ inch spacer on the passenger side rear rim, and then visually everything would be balanced and your power line would be in balance, but you would have a spacer now introduced to your passenger side rear tire, you know, to do that. And I'm not sure that you know, I've heard things about adding spacers, and it's not desirable. I don't know if you should stay away from it or what, but anywho, that's what I am jammed up with right now, contemplating the things first-timers like me ponder. Probably is laughable from a legitimate builder standpoint, but anyway. And then, you know, here's option 3. Option 3 is I cheat this axle over, let's say, half of that. So let's say I cheated over a quarter, and now, because I mean, who's going to walk by your car and see a ½ inch? I don't know if they would see a ½ inch in the perspective of, you know, tire body alignment, parallelism, or whatever you want to call it. It's not going to jump out to the common guy a ½ inch. Now, a frame carpenter, yeah, you can see a ½ inch. I can see an 1/8 of an inch, and a lot of times I would argue that I could probably see a 1/16 of an inch with some projects just by walking up to it. But everybody doesn't look at things like that. So, you know, why freak out over it, right? But anyway, that's what I've got going on in my mind right now. As soon as I figure out this dilemma in my world, I might be able to move forward and tack these into position and be good. I've got my my coilovers. They're going to be at 20 degrees. And if you've seen my other videos where I had to reset these, I had these in a bad position one time, and I had to cut away and replace and swap and move and what. Anyway, I'm getting to do all that over again. But here's one thing that I did this time that I think is pretty trick, and I would do it again, is when you're getting your coilovers, your lower mounts for your triangulated 4-link setup, this strap right here, this mechanical strap, hose clamp, hose clamp. This right here is slick as far as drawing everything up and tight and close together, and then when you're tweaking and measuring and whatnot, you can always tap this left and right, in and out, whatever. You can establish your level flat side. Just because this holds it so well, I would definitely give that a shot when you are setting things up. I saw it in another video and I thought I would try it, and I love it. I love the idea, and I would do it like that again for sure. So anyway, that's what I got shaking. I think I should be able to figure out this quandary in the next, who knows, hour or so. But that's what I got going on today. Played around with the idea of raising my motor up a couple of inches, and I was kind of looking at what that's going to mean to me in relation to the floor, what I was going to be left with. I got a piece of aluminum and I bent an arc on it and made some references and measurements and drew some lines, and I haven't done it yet. I'm still kind of pondering it. The reason why, just to kind of go over that lightly, is so I picked up this motor from a friend. It's only got 12,000 miles on it. It was freshly rebuilt and had some machine work, and it's a good strong motor. It's been proven. They did one really long trip with it. My son and my friend, they took this on the hot rod tour in 2007, and basically went all the way from the Florida all the way up into Michigan and up and around and back down, and there was no issues with the motor. It's a good runner. It's warmed over a little bit, and anyway, it was made available to me, and I was kind of sentimental to it for different reasons, and thought I'd put it in my car. And ever since, I've kind of had an aching thought that, well, maybe it sets a little bit too low and it doesn't meet the period intent of the car and whatever. And I thought, man, if I just raise it up a little bit, maybe I'd be a little happier. If I got it up a little bit higher, a couple of inches, I'd be a little happier. Right now, can't see it, but the exhaust, there's only like 12 inches between the flange surface and the ground. So I don't know how much space that I need for it to turn 90 degrees, the exhaust that is, and start going underneath my car. I'm gonna have to cut these mounts apart. I'm gonna have to make them longer, make a new dealio. And anyway, so this was a byproduct of me trying to figure out all that, and I haven't decided whether or not I've got that figured out or not. I would like to find somebody that does exhausts, specifically the mandrel bent exhausts, and ask them as far as, how quickly can we, space-wise, how quickly can we turn that 90 degrees and start working toward the back. That exhaust flange is about 12 inches right now to the ground. My engine, the bottom of my oil pan is roughly 5.5 inches from the ground. So just trying to figure out, collector turning off 90 degrees, shooting back toward the the rear of the car. Would a couple of inches help me there with that? Ideally, I would like to achieve the collector and the completed edge of the sweep of the 90. I would like that done and heading toward the back of the car within a window of, let's say, 5 inches. 5 inches. Is it realistic to be able to achieve all that within 5 inches? Dropping down and then turning 90 on a 2-inch tube to where the bottom of the sweep of the 90 is somewhere around 5 or 6 inches. I don't know if that's realistic or not. I'm thinking that it's pretty tight. But I need to talk to an exhaust man to see if that's realistic or not. But that might end up making raising this motor 2 inches more of a necessity than a design nicety. And then, of course, slipping it up, it's going to make my floor space smaller, and I wear size 14s, and you can imagine getting a size 14 in the space of those pedals is going to be a challenge. But I can't do anything about it. That's the way I was made. So anyway, that's the reality of having large feet. So, clear as mud, right?